Je bent op je creatiefst wanneer je 5 jaar bent. Je stelt de hele dag vragen en je lacht om alles.
Maar op school moet je stil zijn en mag je vragen stellen als je je vinger opsteekt en je beurt netjes afwacht.
Je leert je dan al te conformeren, je aan een norm te houden. Normaal gedrag te vertonen. Je wordt steeds minder jezelf en je vormt je naar het gemiddelde.
En tegen de tijd dat je 8 bent is je creativiteit gehalveerd. Je spiegelt je aan je omgeving en als beloning pas je prima in een vakje.
Bij dat vakje past vervolgens een functie, met een beetje geluk vind je later ook nog een baan. Maar met die baan komt ook een manager, een proces en een organisatiedoelstelling.
En in ruil voor je maandelijkse doping, ook wel salaris genoemd, doe je structureel offer. Een offer in je autonomie, een offer in je bewegingsvrijheid. Eigenlijk een offer in je persoonlijke ontwikkeling.
Werken gaat klaarblijkelijk niet over jou als individu, maar over jou als onderdeel van het collectief. Ja, de neuzen moeten wel dezelfde kant op staan.
Rond je 44ste bereik je een staat van terminale serieusheid. Je hebt je creativiteit en je unieke eigenschappen voorgoed ingeruild voor conformiteit en structuur.
Een structuur die voorspelbaarheid belooft. Een structuur die rust en regelmaat biedt. Een structuur die fouten voorkomt en variatie minimaliseert. Een walhalla voor turfsmurfen, vinkvee, maar vooral voor slaapkoppen.
Want structuur versuft en wordt onopgemerkt voor werkelijkheid aangezien. Creativiteit gedijt echter bij onvoorspelbaarheid, chaos en diversiteit.
Daar geldt, waar 2 neuzen dezelfde kant op staan, is er eentje te veel.
We moeten organisatie dus vervangen door zelf organiseren. Niet alleen plannen en vergaderen, maar vooral doen en ondervinden.
Zelf actie ondernemen, eigen keuzes maken, anders leren, anders leren werken. Uit je comfortzone stappen, fouten durven maken en dus experimenteel vaststellen wat wel, maar ook wat niet werkt. Confucius zei ooit, geef me werk dat bij me past en ik hoef nooit meer te werken. Nu is het, doe het werk wat bij je past en je hoeft nooit meer te werken.
Doen is immers nog altijd de beste manier van denken. Dus improviseer, doorbreek je vaste gewoontes en overtuigingen.
Het ergste is namelijk niet dat je iets niet weet, maar dat je denkt het zeker te weten.
Onderzoek, vraag, struikel, faal en doorbreek vooral je routine. Want één ding is wel zeker.
Als ik meer fouten maak dan jij, dan win ik.
Hi, I'm Mark. This is a presentation about universal hive mind. This one is made by a website designer from Michael Tellinger for the project we wanted to try to start, but didn't get off its feet. Can we get the next slide? Oh yeah, so about winning, right? At the ending of the movie it said something about winning. Well, it is not a competition, so the old paradigm is stuck in that competition road. Well, if you're good at something, you either are made for these type of things or have practiced it. Both times it's an understandable equation, so actually nothing really to applaud for. It's just there's an ability for it. When you fail or fall at something, then the reflection is that there is something you can still learn new, which is fun, exciting and evolving, which is our thing to do as species. So applaud for that when someone fails and don't say they're stupid. That only shows how low in development you still are. Next slide, please. This one I just want to show shortly. I'm not going to talk about because it's online on the internet and YouTube. We did it last time. But it has a follow-up, and that's the slide after this one. Where the slider is going. Yeah. So, left brain, right brain, and balanced brain. Or feminine, masculine, and balance. So I just made an easy picture to understand the next slides. So it's enlightening which part of the brain is working, and if you have the holistic working, the universe works with you because it's a selfless process. It's not in ego identification of I want control, or ego identification I'm too weak, I can't do shit in this world. So, yeah, next slide. I want to get an artist for this one because there's a lot of things we can map out. There's like the selfless person who has response to the universe, so it's getting abilities from the universe. And here you have dogma, and it could be anything. It could be religion, it could be an excuse. I still have to make this education, I still have to go to the army. It's the gray zone, it's still the age of speculation while we're living in the age of information. So you can put all of that nonsense talk and dogma talk on this side, because it's just not working, it's killing the world. So, next slide please.
Ducky.
Yeah?
Oh,
that's better. Okay. So, in a way, that also goes for this. If you're egoistic and you only think about me in the sense of me and my environment, or me and me alone, then that's the scale of your wisdom cultivation. If it's me and my environment only, so my friends and family, then it's a little bit bigger scope. If you see the whole world as your family, and everything as the collective, then that's the cultivation of your wisdom. So one of these choices to live by tells the capacity of your wisdom in the now and for the future, unless the mindset has been changed or adjusted to be more noble about life. Next slide, please. This is about all of the dogmas. So if I would have talked to someone who's still pretty much stuck in the old paradigm, whatever the question they have, we can put it here. And then you can tell them the tools of left brain imbalance, right brain imbalance, or balanced brain, and how that affects. Because we can put school or education here and say, oh, the IQ people, they will succeed, they will get good numbers. And the emotional ones will fail more often than that they will succeed. So you can put, and the balanced person, they don't want to go to school, they just want to live their life and be themselves. So you can do it with everything, with faith, turning it into religion instead of faith being faith, and with work being passion, or the work in the old paradigm as a slave job. You can do it with everything.
So you're saying everything, it's all about the balance, basically, right?
Yeah.
The balance connected to the higher, connected to the collective consciousness, or the higher consciousness.
Yeah. So the topic of the question, choice to perceive to, and the outcome we should be able to figure out then. Next slide, please. Here it is again in a different way. So here's the masculine line, here's the singularity, and it's only about quantity. And that's the old paradigm view. And the feminine is mostly like quality style. This slide should be changed by the next one. So next one, please. Yeah. There should be one in between. Can you go one more next? No. Can you go back then? Yeah, stop. One more front. There was one, the previous one was only with wood, but it has changed. I'll try to explain it with this one then. The masculine, feminine, and balance went to a wood picture here. So if you're masculine, you see like trees. Hey, we can use that to make money, because we can cut them down and make money for making chairs, whatever we use wood for. And the feminine side is like, oh shit, the whole forests are being killed all over the world. And we need to replant and counterbalance that just in whatever way. But counterbalancing it in the way that they're doing it, like having foundation set up and stuff, there's still bosses at the end that's making money on those feminine side of people, like men and women that work for this company. So it's a vicious circle that they don't know, well maybe the masculine side knows, but it's a vicious circle that stays in this old paradigm, will not be broken until we say, why not introduce hemp? Because you can replace the whole old paradigm with it. From food to paper, textiles, plastics, body care, construction, livestock feed, fuel, livestock bedding, nutrition supplements, essential oils, and medicine. So it means that's a lot of old paradigm companies and stuff that you can throw away, and we have a lot of free time. Next slide, please. To get there, what I also get the feel that we're doing here is like we need some core thing that not only the ring that comes behind it can jump on, but all of the rings can jump on. So all of the outer rings in whatever ring people are trapped in the old paradigm, that they still understand what we're doing here at the core. So they can, on their ring level, can jump in as well. And I want to map that out so that they can find it all over the world where you need those things. Next slide, please.
Ring level, you mean like level of consciousness?
Yeah. Level of consciousness, yeah. So if we didn't live in this world, it would probably be 100% passionate living in the new in that paradigm. But there's this world where we live in now. So for at least for me personally, I cannot be in the full 100% of me in this world, because I have 50% job to do, the reflection job, which is painful and not always cool to do, but it's a sort of a has to do thing. And there's 50% distraction to cope with it. So I'm a fictional Mark, I'm not the real Mark. In the new paradigm I'll probably be without those fiction stuff, you know, those things that are connected with the old paradigm. That is also not only putting a brake on everyone's development, but also mine, everyone's. Because in this free one, you can be 100% passionately about work, because then it's not working more, it's passionate and just living. So a being of the new paradigm trapped in the old, 50% diverse passion and 50% collective work just to cope with life, 100% living for the old paradigm. Here, the people are diverse in ego and fear or selflessness. And in the new paradigm, people are all in the selfless state, but still diverse for every holistic system we need. So diverse for the whole health, education path of life instead of work, perception, philosophy, and oh yeah, I want to touch on this as well. Master teacher, student chemistry. So there's a lot of teachers in the old paradigm that can do like 1 month of study, and then they can get this paper that's called what do you call the that you're a master teacher of your work.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how can you in 2 months learn individuality? How do you know in 2 months by learning this stuff how to present your thing of your job individually in a different way to him, you and you? I mean, that's a massive skill. They can't do that. So every kid who goes through all of the bullshit school education and finally gets to work could enter a person who will learn him this new thing in his dogmatic way and constantly bumps up into this child. This child is, I don't even dare to say anything anymore, but I know he's wrong. He's not trying to hear me. He's not jumping in my shoes to understand how I'm asking the question. So he does not have the skills, and that will mean this child will lose the education because this person wasn't a master teacher. A master teacher knows how to individually explain a person what he is about through their shoes, and that's never happening. So you have to swallow a lot to get high up, and that's swallowing a lot of your personality as well. So they keep saying always, in this whole paradigm, pain is our teacher. Yeah, it's true. Pain and love is our teacher in the old paradigm. But in the new paradigm, love is only our teacher. Because they've already said if one bad feeling of the same quantity and quality and one good feeling, the good feeling is still 1,000 more powerful, even though they're the same. This one's 1,000 more powerful. So in the new paradigm, if wisdom is love, we'll be totally different than what we're now. It will go so fast and in a flow. Now it's pain and love, and that goes slow. Because it's the moments that people that help you with love, but it's a lot of moments that pain is teaching you because of the old paradigm. Next slide, please. So, with those 4 personalities that I have on YouTube, on worthy, neutral, ego, and selflessness, we had this question again that we wanted to put on the board. And the question was, is the world fine? If not, what should we do about it? Can we ask that to these 3 people, these 3 types? We can't. They're fighting to understand why they're the bully and the receiver, which is a chemistry that doesn't make sense. Well, yeah, in this paradigm it makes sense, but when we talk about it, we can break it down, heal them, and redirect their energy to this place, so that all of these other 3 can look at the world as we should look at. Like, the actors in this side are fucking rich. We just need, as we keep saying, we just need a little crumble of money and we can rock the world, help rock the world, right? But they're all still in their ego or neutral or unworthy chemistry, and we need to map it out so that they dare to come here, because it's a hard road to dare to come here. So if we can pave that way, that's what I feel is a moral obligation for us, is the ones that have been in the dirt, to lay it open, the past. So like, you could go there and it could go like this, you know. Next slide.
Chief Phil Lane Jr., a Native American elder, he says, by walking the path, we make it visible for others. You know, so
that's very line.
And of course, it's a very wide path
and a diverse
with a lot of
path.
diversity.
Yeah,
a lot of diversity.
But they understand it probably as well.
But it helps to have some kind of support system, guidance system.
Yeah, it's like the feedback that got corrupted. Because I could ask my mother, "Hey, what's world? Yeah, you got to work and go to school. That's a lie. Religion, that's a lie." So there's no real feedback to try. Hey, which path do I want to try? You just have to knock yourself down in the bear cave, get hit or get some wisdom. This is a bit about sharing, and this was an example I think a lot of us are familiar with the Ubuntu. That Ubuntu means I am because we are. So an anthropologist proposed a game to an African tribe kids. He put a basket of fruit near the tree and told them whoever got their first won the sweet fruits. When he told them to run, they all took each other's hands and ran walked together, then sat together enjoying the treats. When he asked why they had run like that, as one could have had all the fruits for himself, they said, Ubuntu. How can one of us be happy if all of the other ones are sad? So I made an equation about that thing, and that's pretty easy to understand. If one of the 10 kids eats all the apples, result nauseous, so it's no use to be an egoist. And the other kids will not be so happy towards this egoist, so you'll probably get a few punches on. And or option B, one of the 10 kids eats 50% of the apples, so there's still 50 to distribute between 9 people, and shares the other 50% that's left over with the remaining 9 kids. Result overfilled with pain in the stomach, and again, the other kid's not so happy towards the egoist. C, sharing the feeling of satisfaction in the stomach times the people around you, hence the more the merrier. Because even 2 or 3, you could be overly fed. If all the kids just needed 1 hour boost from this apple and then they get their next dinner, then you want to give that to the people. Like, hey, I'm feeling like, hey, I can cope with 1 more hour, and you're feeling all the same sensation. Yes, we can go on, so let's go further. Instead of fucking eating them all, and let the rest die. Next slide. This is a universal hive mind. They tried before to present here as well, but it was didn't really work yet. So I'm going to do this in a fast way, very in a small way, I mean. I want to make like a homepage, but this is just all information I've cultivated for myself, so I can use this to something else. It's just an example. So this is a homepage. Here you have the collective world news, and here you have my path news. So this is all you, this is all collective. Let's say this program is already out and you're very insecure. You're like, hey, I want this new paradigm as well, but I think I have no skills because I've been swimming in the fiction my whole life. And you get that a lot with those people. Then you can say, you can put the slide of universal news to town news or to city news, as long or wide you want to have it, so that if I'm very insecure, I could put the slide on like only my town and only get the most important news generated for our communities through that machine. So that I can try to test and taste people and working together with people, and then become broader and broader and broader and have more self-confidence. And my path news is everything that you're following or makes up your whole, like the holons. Like you can put everything in it, what you are, who you are, what you need, what you can give out to the world, stuff like that.
So it filters news that is relevant to your passions and interests.
No, what we really need in the world.
What we need.
Yeah, or in that environment. So if it's this city only, and they're saying, okay, we have the new paradigm built up, but there's one thing missing, and that's gardening of food, and that will be a priority news letter for that month or whatever, right?
So the collective need.
Yeah. So that's why you can put the slide down as well, because the collective need will, each kilometer you put it wired, will change, of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This one can be removed. The 5 major concepts. Those are health, education, perception, philosophy, and my path instead of work, which you can make all the equations in. So if we take education, we just saw, we can equate the old paradigm. and how it could work in the new paradigm, but also how have we used it in the past and present, and how can we combine all of that information and make a way better education in the present. And especially the same with health, the same with work, the same with philosophy, the same with perception, because really that kill the ego. Goes way deep, but as I said, I'm going to keep it small. Then the last thing, the eighth button, the last button is like the search button on Google. It's called search source function. A truthful dictionary that will describe the past and present, and with that combined, generating future possibilities for the collective world. A source to connect with the world based in free knowledge, truth, unity, and abundance for all. So, if this would have been out, there's like a lot of different people who have no chance to help us with this, that get defended instantly. They have their feedback that our parents never had. They have the backup we never had. Because if I put it in my example, which I do a lot, it's like if I was called a weird kid because I didn't want to pay attention on school. I didn't want to. And I didn't even know if I was capable of as well. But I didn't care because it felt like my heart. So I was called dumb a lot, or I can't function, and that kind of stuff. Which is of course hurtful, because I saw a lot of more people like me having that on them, but it killed them. It really made them believe they were stupid and stuff, and I didn't really care. Of course, it hurt me, but I didn't care. I understood it's my truth. So I had to waste 33 years to cultivate a lot of stuff. But if I had this tool, or if someone already had brought out this tool, I could have just said to my family, look, this is what they say about stupid, intelligence, and school, and words like education, because I didn't know. We don't know as children. And if they don't concur with the new information, then I don't want to waste my life fighting 33 years. And I'll just say, okay, then I'm not going to be a part of this family, because you're not recognizing my individuality. That's like, a parent should do that to each kid, you know. So I would just sleep on the street the next day. I'd be dead, right? Because I'm not going to fight for this bullshit. So if this is out, it's not only that. It's kids like that can be saved, but it's also friends in a friend group that say, hey, you know what? That one friend of us is still in the army. Normally we wouldn't bitch about, but in our mind we know it's not good, it's not okay, right? And he's not really a bad guy. He doesn't take it so serious. But still, he needs to know. And when we live in this more of this age of information, people have more the feeling or obligation to say, hey, you know what, I'm not trying to hurt you, but I can't be a friend anymore, because the army is not cool, it's not good for the world. And if you don't want to realize that, we cannot be friends anymore. The same with family members. We have to step out of the gray zone of speculation and say, it's just yes or no. You're moral, immoral. And this is the age of information. So you cannot say any speculation or gray zone nonsense, because it's yes or no. There is information. You can choose to sniff up information. We're the living proof of it. And there's a lot of people living proof of it. Or even that because they talk too much about it. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, so this is the home page in Big Dan. So this is like, you're just looking at construction work in your community, you know. And these are the different topics or whatever. And a webcam, and you can talk to people or whatever, and here's the side projects of all the stuff that's going on. So let's say it's construction work, you probably need cement mixers, and you probably need some people who have knowledge about hemp to make this wood stuff, and all of those things, you know. So people can find their first jobs, work in their news, you know. So you can jump all over the world if you want, if it's set up. Next page. Yeah, so this is part of the search source function. So if you put the word hemp in the search source function, it will describe which country it's grown, which country it's best grown, and where it originally came from. So some history, some basic history. And in that explanation, sometimes you see a word like amino acids, or fatty acids, or medicine, protein, etc. But not the full explanation. So this plant can also be used for amino acids, blah, 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 or medicine, blah, 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 blah. From the smallest application to the biggest. So here is the biggest, hempcrete. You can build houses, so it's think a lot better than protein and fatty acids. So if you click on one of these, it's going to be hemp plus acids or plus medicine or cosmetics or paint. So then you personalize the page as well, and then you can find everything about it, and in which towns they still need it, in which towns they're working on it. So it will be, so you don't make a mess out of the dictionary function. Next as I said, it's being equated by past, present, future. So now it's like, if I have a few plants under a lamp in my home, I'll get a ticket, I'll get a fine from the government. And way back, if you didn't have plants in your garden, you wouldn't get a ticket because they needed it for all of the materials they were building way back, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a whole shift and change, and there's a how do you call it?
Paradox. Nederlands?
No, zeg maar een groep mensen en dan leeft het hoog en dan leeft het hoog.
Progression.
Noem je zo'n lijn van mensen, een generatie. So there's a generation that had missed out on this information because I heard it very late, right? So I heard from my oldest brother who does these things, plants, and it was always illegal. So I was like, this has always been illegal. And my parents never said anything about it. They didn't even know, because if they knew, they would have been healed through the wheat plant and didn't die by cancer or chemotherapy. So later, I found out somewhere that they had these bottles of 1870 hemp oil is application for medicine all over the whole world. And like the top 10 diseases it's being used, and it worked. And then now, just 100 years ago, the pharmaceutical industry came to make some money and kill us off. So yeah, there's a big change, you know. There's like, they forgot that they used to use it legally because it was so good and potent for our healing. And now it's illegal. It's like such an obvious game of monopoly.
Mind control as well involved.
Next slide, please. Well, here you can say, like, people will be probably like, yeah, but then it's like hippie stuff if we do this. Well, this is clothing from hemp. This as well. These are the yarns. I think the previous picture showed a house. Can you go on back once? No, go forwards then 2 times. Yeah. Oh, maybe put it out. But you saw the #1 house, like from hemp, right? And you probably think it's a millionaire house, like the way they built it in the old paradigm. But it was like the same stuff, but just nicer and working with nature because it's all been made from hemp. It was an awesome, nice house. Yeah, next. Okay, so here's a few of the equations I want to put in one of the 5 major concepts, which were health, education, perception, philosophy, and path of life. So here's one. This old paradigm wrote of rules. So psychological rush mode, that's how we're driving behind the steering wheel. We have, like, this is the vision of ours. We can almost not see shit. And egoistical road users, we do not have respect for each other because we're rushing for our job and we don't care about someone else's job getting late. So, aka narrow view on the road. But if there's communities and we're living in a new paradigm, there's no way that one person is going to have 3 cars. There's no way that every villager probably has a car because the village just needs a few cars, probably. And the road will be a lot cleaner, peace of mind. There's no more rush mode because we're not working, we're passionately living, and we know if we rush it, we're not being on our path anymore. We're not being on our highest excitement or skill level when we're in a rush mode. Wide view on the road, and also because the road is pretty empty. Path of education, choose like-minded group and interest, choose the moment freely for max growth. So also when you want to quit, if you want to quit an old paradigm, they will say, hey, but you have to finish your 2 years. It's a lot of waste of time in mind. Freedom to move on any passing second. Then you have the path of doctrine in the old paradigm. Placed forcefully and repeat a doctrine. A wide variation of problems if absent. Bound by a certain education for X amount of years. Well, so you can go on and on and on and on. I didn't even fill in this because everything I started was like, oh shit, it's going to be too much. So because you can go on and on, and it's easy. So life to community, what could we say about in comparison to fiction, you know, I mean, or the old paradigm? It would be so easy to explain. So my whole plan of this thing is, one killing of the age of speculation and the gray zone, so that a lot of people who want to but don't dare to or do not have the capacity to come here and do these things have a real opportunity to defend themselves with this tool, but also to go about changing the new paradigm. Yeah?
So if I'm understanding you, then basically it seems like you are trying to really make like a bridge, right, between the
old and new.
The old, to bring awareness of like the complementary side of it and the new, so that people can walk over and balance, right, or like into the new kind of balance, right?
Yeah, very safe, lovable way, without making them scared or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So bridging.
Yeah. Yeah, riding the line between the yin and yang. Next, please. So you could have make it like this. I have here like as a path, like the middle road, the balance road, and here the masculine road and that feminine road. Because you can see this is the left side of the brain. It says, I am the left brain, I'm an analytical, science, control, stuff like that. And the right brain is saying, I'm passion, creativity, and stuff like that. And there's the middle road. So I had health, education, path, life, and the rest of it as well under it. And you can just put in how the right brain perceives health, the left brain perceives health, or how they work in these jobs and how they handle food, and how we could handle food or this job and profession. The same with education. You can't even read it anymore, but here it says school, here it says prison, and they exactly explain the exact same thing about each other, so it is a prison. This is the highest level of indoctrination. And what do we say about if we were balanced? How would we go about the education then? And how would we go about if we were full in the feminine brain? So yeah, next slide please. This one was from the internet. I've put this with it, because that's very important, but of course it's the thing you get out of this as well. Most of the problems in life are because of two reasons. We act without thinking, or we keep thinking without acting. So we should think and act. And that's with everything, the balance, pretty easy to find. Next slide, please. Beyond racism and insecurity, yeah, maybe I should do this thing later and write more about, because there's a lot of equations. Yeah, so let's do this one then. It says 20 facts, but there's 7 on now, so let's say 7 factors of true awakening by Mark Passio. 1, knowing about the occult hidden truth and understanding that there are both light and dark aspects to it. 2, knowing that the truth is singular, objective, and exists independently of our perceptions of it. Knowing the true self and understanding its connection to all. 4, knowing that neither the physical nor spiritual realities take precedence over each other. 5, being out of ego identification and ego attachment. 6, exercise discernment and judgment. 7, be mentally free of false religions, beliefs, and values, which is completely the old paradigm. Next slide, please. I don't really like Aleister Crowley, but he says some wise stuff as well, so even bad people can say wise stuff. We can integrate it, it's okay, it's fine. So there's the Jewish star that you see everywhere, and the symbol without the pen being pulled off. So if you make the Jewish star, you make one square, put the pen off, make the second one. So it's feminine and masculine in each other. Telema is drawn in a way that you don't release the pen. So it's like the holistic symbol of the star, right? So Telema says, is a system of magical practice and tenets developed by the 20th century great magician Aleister Crowley. The main precept of Telema, do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law, is far too often completely misunderstood or taken out of context. Used properly, it refers to the Telemic concept of the true will, which represents a human being's true purpose and path in life, which exists in harmony with the will of the universe. This is the path upon which we are guided. We have learned to hear and follow the teachings of the higher self and natural law. So there's a lot of people do what they will t-shirts like JC that's propagating for the bad side or whatever. They say do what thou wilt as well, but they're having it about just make a lot of billions and talk about sex in the wrong way. and just promote all the bad things through music to help indoctrinate the world. So the do as thou wilt, he pulled it out of context, and it's really like do as thou wilt, even if there's no moral consequences and without natural law. But we have to think about natural when we want to do what we will want. Next page, please. Well, this goes to work or path of life. Your profession is not what you brings home your paycheck. Your profession is what you were put on earth to do with such passion and such intensity that it becomes a spiritual calling. Vincent van Gogh. Next. One small concept about education I do want to put in, because there's a lot more, of course. So let's say you guys are one of these and I'm this, and we both have to go to school, we both have the same parent, and our parent is saying on age... I should do it like this then. Okay, so... No, I'm just doing it my one way, because I had a different one. So let's say on age 10 it's normal for schools to start teaching kids how to clock read. 90% of the kids might like it, but there's also 10% be like, hey, you know what, I would rather like to have done that a year later. So they'll stop that, they'll say, no, you have to do it. So the child that wanted to do it on the moment that it's been asked, will learn this on the maximum powerful way that he can, because he wanted it on that moment. And the person who didn't want that, on that moment, the depth of not wanting it will also be the depth of not being able to learn this stuff. But if we let that go in the new paradigm, then this guy could learn the path of life on age 10, and this one could just go for education on age 10. When this one becomes 15, you could take the soul path, then it doesn't matter anymore. And we know that. It doesn't matter anymore when you learn something, because we'll know if you say I'm going to learn clock reading at age 5, and I'm going to say I want to like that on age 12, I will learn it evenly powerful as you. And there will not be a delay in our knowledge about it. So what do you want and when do you want it makes huge difference in gaining certain knowledge. I don't think it's fully readable, or is it?
It's a more efficient use of our time, isn't it? Because we just spend years and years and years at school just ignoring everything.
That made me really mad.
Yeah, and then it's like, instead, if we learn everything when we want to learn it, it's each year is really used to the max, isn't it?
Yeah. So I had another equation with that, and it had like, what if you want to go to school? What if you want to go to school and not like the education? What if you go to school and you do like the education? And what happens if you totally do not like school? Well, some people even said to me, yeah, but what if I like my education, Mark? I said, well, still I can give you an example or an equation to make your learning even more powerful. Because I said to him, you still have to abide by the 2-year education promise or signature, whatever, like the deal that you make at school. What if there's a moment that you break up with your childhood girlfriend or boyfriend, and you feel it's painful enough to take a break for a month from school or your education that you love so very much and dearly? School would say, no, you have an obligation, you go to school. If that's being let this whole month, this month of letting go of that pain and then going fresh back to school, will make sure you learn very powerful because you're being let loose, about it. So yeah, it's a huge difference. For sage, like one last example, I don't work a lot, but when I work on this project, it's like mostly because of the stress I had, right, way back. So when I worked on it, it was mostly 1 day in a week or 2 days in a month, whatever. But that day, when I worked, equated to like 9 hours a day, So I gain in, like sometimes people come to me and say, did you just make this? And the whole world explodes in 1 hour. And I created something. If I would have done it forcefully, I would never come that far, even if I had that much time, So it says a lot about when you want things stuff. Next slide. I think we're almost done. Next slide. Anarchism. Anarchism stands for the liberation of the human mind from the dominion of religion, the liberation of the human body from the dominion of property, liberation from the shackles and restraints of government. Anarchism stands for a social order based on the free grouping of individuals, aka communities, for the purpose of producing real social wealth, an order that will guarantee to every human being free access to the earth and fulfillment of the necessities of life, according to individual desires, tastes, and inclinations. And Goldman. Next.
Very nice.
Yeah. See, people will not back out if this is a map and path of life, education, philosophy, and those things, because they could just say, what? No, anarchy, that's in the wrong context, mom, or government. Here, this is the real. You can constantly defend yourself and say, no, we gotta change the world. You guys are working for the wrong stuff.
It's like rewriting
we
the
bring our families back.
The funny thing.
The meaning of words of vibration.
The funny thing is that like everyone in the system at the moment is terrified of anarchy like occurring, but we kind of got their idea of what anarchy is happening already.
Yeah.
Everything. Apocalypse means what, like something like revealing from the hidden.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever.
Or like a cult. People think about demonic, satanic worshippers. Well, it's just hidden truth. You know, it's like, and we could do the same with government. That means mind control. Literally means mind control. Governare and mentis in Latin. It's just mind control. So we say applause for the government, probably people will applaud. If you say applause for the mind control, because we just fixed something in the world. What? How did you fix it? There's probably something sneaky going on. Next page. Oh yeah, that was the ending. That should be the first one. Next slide. I was bored at one time. And
homes.
I was just trying to think like maybe we could start about making stuff like this as well, you know, like what would we need in the first parts to make this whole system. Also, we not only create that whole system as an internet thing and tech development, but also we need to live and we need to have the energy, the water, and the greenhouse and all that things, you know. So I was just bored and drawing this, but yeah, it's just a fun slide to show. Next
The
slide.
holistic view.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Yay!
Hey, thank you. I hope it was not too fast and a bit understandable.
Totally.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much, Taki.